What's going on, guys? Hey, Repeat back with you, and tonight it's the Fast Family League Showdown. It's the last race of round number 3, so that's right, round 3, race number 5, and tonight it is the No Name Racing, or NNR, as most of us love to call them, versus the eNASCAR Elite Association, also known as ENEA or ENEA. I tell you what, I got a couple pretty good pros here in the booth sitting with me. A lot of y'all know J-Mac from the Pro League. A lot of y'all definitely know Beast Mode from his streams as well. But first, we're going to go ahead and introduce you to the main guy over all of this showdown, all of his responsibilities got to do. Man, Slide Job, you're doing a phenomenal thing here. How you feeling tonight, buddy?
I'm feeling good, especially, it's bittersweet, but, we're saying goodbye to round 3, and not as far as the number of races is concerned, but as far as rounds, this is the leap over halfway. So we only got a couple more rounds left, only 3 after this, so we are getting there.
Absolutely getting there. J-Mac, you got to love Daytona. I know originally Frozen was supposed to be in here, and she is the queen of restrictor plate racing, does her super speedway Sundays just about every week, has built up a huge following across that, and then of course the shake and bake races on Thursday nights right around 9 o'clock p.m. if I'm not mistaken. J-Mac, what are you looking forward to for tonight?
Well, looking forward to the action. Restrictor plate racing always so tight, always so tough to make ground once those restarts happen and everyone kind of figures out their line where they want to run. It's just going to be about which teams work together, and which teams work together better than the other team, and that's just going to be what we're looking for tonight. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tight. It's going to be all about getting runs. It's going to be all about taking care of each other out there. It's going to be fun. It's going to be wild.
It's absolutely going to be wild, and I tell you what, the other guy that's in here, Beast Mode, I know you've been keeping up with the streams, keeping up with the points, keeping up with things as they've progressed. What we saw out of the American Ethanol race the other night versus SXRL, where one whole team was completely working together, which is what you'd really expect versus, they were both working very, very well together, but both on very, very different strategies. What do you think we're going to see out of these two teams tonight as far as strategy goes?
Well, I think when it comes to strategy, you're going to see probably if we have green flag pit stops throughout this race, which we most likely will see, we are probably going to see teams pit at the exact same time, put on different strategies, and then after that green flag pit stop run, they're going to stay conservative. They're going to be working together. I was in the booth for the first race we had of the Elite 11 earlier this month, and it was eSpark taking on Online Motorsports Association. And eSpark put up an unbelievable clinic when it came to working together throughout the entire race to be able to get that win. And by the way, the winner of this matchup, it's going to be taken on eSpark, and they're one of the teams you got to watch out for when we get to the round of 8. But this race is going to be amazing. When we come to the Daytona International Speedway, and we've actually seen it at all the super speedways in the Elite 11 in this round, that we've had a bunch of upsets. Like we just mentioned, American Ethanol with the upset on Sebi's Xbox Racing League. And then you had North America Online Racing, number 9 beating number 4 TNT. Then we had Carolina Racing League, number 10, upset number 7 International Virtual Racing League. But the fact that this is number 5 versus number 6 seeded, number 5 being No Name Racing, number 6 being ENEA, this is going to be one of the closest matchups we have in this round, and I can't wait for it.
Yeah, it would have really been great to see if the seeding for this round would have been the same if it wasn't for all those server issues that we had during round 2. I'm really curious how that would have shaken things up, but all in all, I tell you, Slide Job, I'm going to go ahead and bring up everything from round 2, as you talked about earlier. How Shake and Bake took the number 1 spot overall, 411 points. So they've got the bye this week. Although I'm sure J-Mac would say he'd love to be out there. He's got a team that is full of restrictor plate dominant drivers. But eSpark, like what Beast Mode was just saying, they're racing twice. They raced the other night, and now they're going to be racing again for that for the what's the word?
Wild card.
Yeah, there you go, for the wild card. So eSpark's going to have their hands full when you think about all the different people that are gonna be in there. But man, so yeah, you got
Yep.
Shake and Bake was number one. eSpark 2, American Ethanol, they progressed in third. Thursday Night Thunder is actually they're out of it, so they'll be in that wild card race. NNR's racing tonight. ENEA, like Marty just said, that's who's going back to or going against No Name or NNR. The IVRL, they unfortunately got eliminated, so they'll be in the wild card. OMA, NAOR, they won theirs. Carolina Racing League, and of course Sebi's. That's who American Ethanol won against the other night. So it's been a lot of fun this round. It's going to be great to see what you're able to come up with as far as a round 3 recap here in just a few days. But how are we looking for tonight here, Slide Job?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you brought it up. Shake and Bake getting that number 1 seed. They're the only team to score 400 points or more in 2 rounds. So, you could look at them as the favorite so far. I mean, we saw SXRL dominate that first round, but they got beat pretty badly by, definitely a great team, but, we expected them to, at least put up about an even fight with American Ethanol, but they just got, they got beat there badly. But, a lot of people could say, was it the time off? The fact that they were off for the whole second round and, maybe got in their own heads, who knows? But it'll be interesting to see Shake and Bake come back and see if they're able to put up the numbers that they have been. And especially, you mentioned the wild card. Those that have lost in this round will be going to Michigan for a 50% race, just like the races we're seeing, going along with the theme of super speedways and trying to give the viewers another track to see. With the theme of getting the most tracks in the tournament as possible. That'll be happening immediately after this race. We'll be in the next couple of days. We're just locking down the schedule now, but in the next couple of days you'll see that, and it'll be 5 drivers from each team. So it'll be a 25-car field. Really exciting. So cannot wait for that. But let's first find out who that last spot in the round of 8 is going to go to. Why don't we go trackside for some pre-race ceremonies?
We can absolutely do that. Beast Mode, J-Mac, I know y'all just as much of a patron as I am. Please, everybody else that's out there in chat, please stand and remove your hat. Let's pay a little bit of tribute, shall we? All right, and yeah, we are back at it. Thank you very much for everybody that's hanging out, chatting it up. Definitely appreciate it. Worm Riders, see you out there. 7HD, what's happening? J-Pog, see you. Asbel, Cowboy Matt, definitely. It's gonna be one hell of a race. Like they were just pointing out, this is seed versus seed, right on top. One on top of the other. NNR versus ENEA. And earlier, I was in a pre-race party here, J-Mac, and I think you were there as well. Somebody actually pointed out that ENEA, or a part of it, used to be NNR. I think it was Frydog. He pointed out that it used to be the NNR Arkham Menard series. So it's kind of a series of drivers or players that were eventually working their way on up to drive in NNR. And believe it or not, Slide Job, one of the very, very dominant drivers in ENEA, will be back in NNR, but he's one of the people that went and started ENEA with a guy by the name of Jordan Blaine. So a lot of these guys really know each other very, very well. They've been around each other. I think we're going to look at a very, very clean, very fast, and, man, a very competitive race tonight, J-Mac.
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, I'm really excited for this race. It's like you mentioned earlier, SXRL, one of those teams that we expected to almost have the red carpet rolled out for them all the way to the front, and they ended up losing their round at their super speedway track. So anything tonight can possibly happen. It's going to be about which team works best together, and honestly, it's going to be a little bit about how well those servers hold up, who can avoid some ill-timed damage from on the front or the rear. There's going to be a lot of factors tonight. It's going to be a massive wild card. I'm really excited to see how it shakes out.
Yeah, you mentioned right there, wild card. I'm pretty sure from the last conversation that was had, none of the guys are actually going home tonight. Whoever loses will be racing in that wild card. And to touch on something else that you just mentioned there, J-Mac, Beast Mode, that server, the lag outs, 75% is what it's going to take to call this race official. I believe that's right about, lap 75. So 75, once they take that 76th lap, it's considered official. I haven't seen too many server bumps here over the last couple days, but it always comes to rear its ugly head when it's Fast Family Showdown night. I'm hoping we can get this one in all the way.
Yeah, absolutely, Pete. If I recall, the past few days, it doesn't seem like that these NASCAR heat servers have really been lagging out. The road courses, when we were in that round, when I was calling the race at Road America, which was Fast Family Racing League taking on, I believe it was North America Online Racing. That was like the first server that ever lagged out, and we had no idea what was going to happen in the end, but the race was deemed official, had some rules added into the book, and so now we know what's going on. But while we were at it, like you just said, at 75 laps, this race will be official. And while we were at it, I do have the race analysis set for you guys here in this race. 100 laps, 250 miles. Stage 1 set at 32 laps. Stage 2, about 30 laps. Stage 3, just about 33. The pit windows set about 14 to 16 laps. This is going to be a fun one.
Absolutely, J-Mac. I mean, great breakdown. So that kind of tells me that everybody will have to make 2 stops during stage 1. They should be able to go all the way during stage 2, and then when stage 3 plays out, when everything is on, all the cards are on the table, it's going to be about who's going to be able to pair up, which teams are going to be able to get down to pit road speed together without wrecking each other coming to that commitment cone, and those who can make the least amount of mistakes as possible.
Yeah, that's one thing we've noticed. It doesn't matter the rules packages, wear factor, the number of drivers, stages, whatever. Fuel mileage always manages to rear its head at these types of tracks, at these types of races, especially if we get well-timed yellows. if you're in the middle of the pack, you have nowhere to go. You might as well just stay off that guy in front of you's bumper and save some fuel and see if you can go an extra lap or two. Maybe take a shorter pit stop. Maybe pit with a few less people. Maybe pit with more people that you trust. But like you said, coming onto pit road is going to be a major place for mistakes. It's a great place to make up time, to make smart decisions, to make good strategy. 2 tires, no tires, less fuel, whatever. But it's also a place where you can get that dreaded 15-second black flag for speeding, and you can throw away a stage or even your race.
And you also got to be careful at, especially as well, that pit road exit, because the rule that's in place, you cannot merge back onto the track until you're in, until you've hit the Daytona super stretch. We saw that happen in the eSpark OMA showdown, where someone did get penalized for that because they did not merge back onto the track properly. Going back to stage 1 as well, like I said, is like I said, the window about 14 to 16 laps. Depending on how late you pit for that first stop around halfway, it could possibly be a one-stop stage as well, because I actually did a test of this earlier. I was able to go a one pit stop that entire stage, and in that same race, eSpark Online Motorsports Association, everyone went one stop.
All right, so one stop around this 2.5 mile high banked World Center of Speed. I tell you, World Center Racing, Daytona. Again, unfortunately, Frozen Toes not able to make it tonight. For anybody out there in chat looking to hear from Frozen, had some family matters that she had to attend to, but Frozen, family and life, that absolutely comes first. J-Mac, you normally call all these races with Frozen from what I remember anyway. I haven't been able to follow one of the streams in a bit, considering NNR and Shake and Bake are both running on Thursday nights. What do you think Frozen would say about this race tonight? You probably know her the best rather.
Sorry, I actually received a call in the middle of that. So if you could repeat the last part of that.
Yeah, sure. No, Frozen absolutely loves this place. Every Sunday
Yes.
She does the Super Speedway Sunday and whatnot. What do you think she'd have to say, or what do you think she'd feel about this race tonight with both of these great leagues?
I think she'd be excited about the cars being covered under a blanket. That's a Frozenism that we might need to use in honor of her tonight. But it's just I think she'd just be excited. She enjoys plate racing. She's incredibly talented at it. And you said earlier that Shake and Bake full of talented drivers at plate tracks, which definitely appreciate the compliment. But I mean, it doesn't matter. You get into one of these races and anything can kind of happen. So I'm excited. She would definitely be excited. I'm sure she's disappointed she doesn't get to call this particular race, but. Like you said, family stuff, it always comes first. Your family, your relatives, they come over the random voices over the internet that she has to hear from every once in a while. So, but yeah, she definitely would enjoy this, and I'm sure we're going to as well.
Absolutely. And it's gonna be interesting. Over the last 4 races, we've seen some that really had very, very few cautions, such as the American Ethanol race the other night. I think they had 1 caution. I was in the Lonely 43 Warthog paint scheme pace car and only got out on track 1 time. What do you think we're going to see tonight, Marty, being that both of these Beast Mode, both of these leagues, very, very tight, very, very competitive. They work well with each other. You think we're even going to see a big one, or do you think these guys are going to go flag to flag, caution free, other than the stages?
By the way, don't worry, Pete. You can call me Marty. That's what I do every Fast Family race. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens. We in the race that I called, there was a big one that happened in stage 2. So I'd be aware of that. Most likely, you'll probably see one in stage 3. Not obviously, because that did not happen in stage 3 in the race that I called. It could happen in stage 1. I'm looking at your chat right now as well, Repeat, and Warm Rider is saying that a big one will probably happen in the middle of stage 1. I wouldn't be surprised if they happen because of how close these two teams are in the rankings. But they got to be conservative in these first two stages. Got to be patient. That's one of my keys. Don't be bumping any drivers. You gotta be patient.
Yeah, patience is going to be huge here. Patience, a lot of people are going to have to remember that the apron is not their friend. The apron here is nothing like the one at Talladega. The one at Talladega is very, very smooth, where if you can get down on that butter, hold a steady wheel, and bring it all the way around 1 and 2 as well as 3 and 4, you can come off the corner with a high rate of speed, especially with either a draft in front of you or if you got a bunch of guys behind you. But the apron here is very, very bumpy. The corners are not completely round. It's like they round off and then they straighten out a little bit, and they round off and they straighten out a little bit. It's not one big half circle at both ends of the track. It does break up a little bit. So people are going to have to be a little weary. People that are on the outside are going to have to give just a little bit more room than they might have given at Talladega, not really pinch that car down on the bottom. Otherwise, we might see more door-to-door contact throughout this race than we'd like. So we'll have to keep an eye for that as well.
And really, so much about that contact, about the big one, it's determinant on whether these drivers are able to stay together. A bunch of mistakes happen during a pit cycle, and we end up with an 8 or 9 or 10 car field at the end of the stage, the racing for the lead. Then there's not a lot of opportunity there for that big wreck. So it's all determinant on how the race plays out. Every little thing with the plate track at a place where everyone's on top of each other, every little incident has its own butterfly effect that completely changes the entire outlook of the race.
All right, just got an invite to qualifying from Slide Job. I'm going, J-Mac, you know what? I don't think you're on my friends list, buddy.
Oh, well.
I don't really get a chance to talk to you all that much.
I think I got the invite here for you. Let me just
right.
make sure.
Yeah, if you don't mind, go ahead and send it on over to J-Mac. Now, during the pre-race, both teams had a choice. Like we saw in American Ethanol, they can either go out in tandem or they can go out in single car qualifying, like what they're normally used to. So let's go ahead and jump on board with a car that is just now heading out. We talked earlier about a fast guy right off the bat, and that was the ENEA shotgun. But it looks like they're actually coming to complete their lap, so I'm going to try to find somebody. Here's the 78 of NNR Cowboy. It looks like right now he's up on that high side, kind of keeping it wound up. Let's see. This should be his up-to-speed lap, and then drop on down here coming into or off of 3 and 4. Let it wash up towards the wall just a little bit. Don't scrub off too much speed. I do know for a fact that Cowboy does run a wheel, so trying to keep it as smooth as possible. And he's going to go ahead and fly on by everybody that's parked down below. That's what I was talking about the apron being just a little bumpy. I think he might have caught just a little bit too much there, kicked him back up the track, but way to recover, and then heading down this super speed. I'm sorry, the backstretch here at Daytona, heading into 3 and 4. Again, trying to keep it way down on that yellow line, trying not to move it around too much. You'll see him wash up towards the wall. Again, not scrubbing up too much speed. He's going to make a liar out of me. Now coming through the tri-oval. At the start stripe, he'll start to whoa it up and join everybody else that has completed their lap. And, we'll continue on from there, Marty.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking on Aviator right now, and one of the big keys right now looks like that these drivers are doing. Usually in real-life NASCAR, you can go constantly around the low line. I think one of the other custom cars is doing that. The Double Zero machine of God Power is doing that. And that does work from time to time. You obviously want that low line in the corners, but it's all going to depend on how much aero you got in the straightaways and how much you control that car in the straights. You don't really want to have that much touch on the steering wheel controller, whatever you're using. You want to try and make as many little ticks as possible here. Something I'm noticing with Swats, though, he's working the high line here unless he's getting ready to start lap 2.
Yeah, he's got to be starting lap 2, pinching on down to the yellow. Go ahead and take this one around.
He's in that number 51 Rowdy Energy Toyota Camry. SWAT's one of the main guys you got to watch out here for No Name Racing. So I'm taking a look at his stats right now for that team last week. SWAT actually finished with 20 points in the 359-285 victory over the ALOHS. Let's see here what he finished in the stages. SWAT's actually was in the bottom for most of the race, but luckily, though, No Name Racing was able to get it done as he comes through the tri-oval. Be interesting to see how what his lap time is across when we get out of this lobby here, Pete.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see exactly where he's going to line up. Want to thank everybody that's out there. Panda Girl, good to see you again. Thanks for coming on out. I absolutely appreciate you. Looks like we're going to be catching up now with this 88 car. Speaking of 88 cars, the one and only Tyler Dohart. He'll be our pace car for the night. And there we are, old Mr. Slide Job. He's going to take us for a couple laps around Daytona about the probably about the best way that you'll ever see Slide Job to where he has no chance of getting into a wreck, unless of course he hits the apron, smashes up the wall or something like that. But it's a nice looking 88 Corvette parts Camaro.
Did he run out of gas?
That would be something, wouldn't it?
Absolutely.
Funny
thing, Pete. I'll mention this real quick. He was showing us our lap around on our broadcast last week, and after showing us around, he actually got into a wreck with one of the cars that was just having fun.
That's something that I've actually warned about here, J-Mac. Some of these guys, they'll get out here, they'll start doing burnouts and whatnot. If you do a burnout and you go backwards the wrong way for just too far, the game will kick you out. I almost wonder if they would actually forfeit their starting spot, because then it would take too long to try to get them back in the lobby in position that they were. So you probably don't want to mess around too much. I know it's Daytona. The draft is really going to be king here, but I tell you, you don't want to have to start in the back and lose all that track position to where you're having to work your way through traffic instead of traffic having to work or try to catch up and work their way through you.
Well, something similar actually happened to me in our first race, in Shake and Bake's first race. I got kicked from the lobby as soon as we got done with qualifying. Lagged out or was removed from the lobby. The multiplayer connection got the error, whatever. But I had to start dead last in the field for that race. So that's obviously you don't get another crack at it. You call it a failing inspection or whatever you want to. But obviously you don't want to go backwards. You don't want to mess around. So much is dependent on every single point you can score and making it that much harder on yourself by playing around and getting yourself knocked out of the lobby would not be good for you.
No,
Hey, Booth,
definitely when the competition's going to be this tight as we all pretty much assume that it's going to be, is it's NNR versus ENEA. It's every position's going to matter, and of course, it being a team tournament where whether you win the race or not, yeah, it's great for your team as far as max points, but you want all of your team lined up right there behind you so you get all the points. That's what we saw during the American Ethanol race. Their whole team was able to go like 1st through 6th, and then it was SXRL 7th through 10th. So that's how their strategy worked. I know Fatless Dig and a few others, they worked on their strategy for like a good 3+ hours before they put the first car on track. They tested it out. It worked perfectly. If any of these guys go back and watch that race, they did it. I mean, they completed it to a T. They all got into the pit road together. They came out together. They lined up. There was no teammate versus teammate, battling, side by side. They got in the line, stayed in the line. They carried all kinds of momentum against SXRL, and eventually came home with the win. So we'll have to see if any of these guys went back, watched that race, studied what each team did, both the positive and the negative. Maybe we'll see both teams try to do that same strategy or work something out of their own.
Hey Booth, this is Mr. Slidejob in the Fast Family Racing car. You guys got me?
Slide job. Congratulations on keeping that thing out of the wall so far. How you doing?
No one's
Good.
slide
Yeah,
job. No one said you can talk on the phone while driving.
Right? Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not texting, I promise. But, we are actually just wrapping up qualifying here in a few seconds, and we'll be getting this race going, green flag, in just a few moments.
Definitely looking forward to it. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Got about 30 people out here in chat that are anxiously awaiting the green flag. So it's gonna be a phenomenal time. I know I'm absolutely looking forward to it. Marty, knowing how excited you get, I know you're looking forward to it. J-Mac, this is going to be a really fun race. We're going to see a lot of side-by-side. Daytona, since the 09 days, really hasn't been known a whole lot for its 3-wide, but hey, we might see some people try to push it.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know, man. You're going to find out how this race is going to go immediately when the green flag drops as we're loading in, and we're about to be privy to the running order here. But it all depends on how aggressive everyone is, how jumbled up the field is, because obviously you're going to want to work with your teammates, and this is going to be it's so dependent on how this race starts, on how aggressive these guys are going to be.
Yeah, I mean, aggression, that's something that Rick James loves to talk about. He loves to talk about patience, and there are so many different factors that that have to come into play for a restrictor plate race. You could be the guy up front leading it all the way around, but guess what? You're the one burning the most fuel. So do you want to be aggressive, try to stay in front, block that line, and just pull everybody around, or do you want to be that 6th or 7th guy in the pack that's not able to go flat out? He's probably checking up more than he's actually on the gas, just enough to stay in the pack, stay in the line, either on the bottom or hopefully on the top. I'd love to see a lot of 2-wide racing, and I think we're going to. Again, both teams very, very competitive tonight. But yeah, there's going to be a lot of aggression. I think we're going to see a little bit of patience. Hopefully, we don't see the big one. I like to see a lot of clean cars come back to the haulers when it's all said and done. But man, this is for the right to move on to round 4 and not have to race in the wildcard race against eSpark.
Yeah, and race against 4 other teams. That wildcard race is definitely going to be something you don't really want to be a part of. You want to shore yourself in. You don't want to have to go against the number 1 seed, which I think would be it. Which that's us. So yeah. Whoever wins the wild card race is going up against us. So in a way, I kind of have a vested interest in how this race turns out, somewhat. But man, I'm ready for it to get going. I'm ready for it to go green here and see how this shakes out. And hopefully we get some good 2x2x2 racing, and it stays clean, and we get to have some fun.
Now I'm going to put the question on you guys, because I know next round's the short track. I know we're pretty far away from it, but what short track do you guys want to race at? I'll start off with you, Pete.
I'm sorry, I was checking something right quick. Say that again.
Now we got the short tracks coming up. What short track do you guys want to race at for Shake and Bake?
Well, to kind of touch on what J-Mac was just saying right quick, the short track round, first we've got to get through the through the other race at Michigan. You know, that race at Michigan, everybody that's raced here in round 3, they're going to go on and race against 4 more teams. Each team is going to comprise of 5 drivers. So you're going to have 25 cars out on track. That's right, Worm Rider. I did the math that time. 25 cars out there on track to see who's going to have the right and be able to gain the most points to go up against and be able to maybe continue on. The track that I think would be best, I'd have to say, I'd love to see Bristol. I mean, I'm a fan. I'm about 5 hours from the track. You know, a high bank. If you get too aggressive, you're loose off the corners. You've got to be very, very track aware at that place as well. I'd have to say Bristol. What do you think, J-Mac?
Bristol is strange to me because it's one of my favorite tracks to just drive. Practicing for Bristol and trying to come up with a car and trying to figure out how a line around there is a lot of fun. But then you get into the race and it's extremely frustrating because that place is so tough to pass. You almost have to lay the body to somebody to be able to complete a pass around there. And it can turn into a single file fest, kind of like a plate track, except everyone's riding around the top and it's just even more stressful because there's a lot more opportunity to run over people and to make mistakes. So Bristol could be fun if we get yellows and the field gets jumbled up and we get track position. But I don't know. Richmond is a fun track to drive. Martinsville a little bit more Jekyll and Hyde with a tight car or loose car. That can be interesting. I think Richmond would be my choice for where we run, but I think I could manage Bristol. It's just that place it's just so tough to pass, and it's just such a pain in the butt to run there with other cars.
Speaking of Bristol, I'll actually be there in under 48 hours from now. Yes, I will be making a trip to the night race this weekend. Slide Job, are we good to go?
Not quite yet. How about
crap.
go ahead and join now.
Okay.
You're killing me. I'm going to need another one.
Uh-oh.
I got in right in the nick of time, so.
My invite expired. I'm going to have to get Dohar to send me an invite. Shit. Alright, I'll be right back.
Pete, I know you're in here somewhere, so I can try and send you the invite.
All right. Yeah, appreciate it.
There we go. I got you.
Thank you, sir. All right, thank you also. I'll keep that one on the back burner in case, Marty. But, yeah, here we go. Guys going to get loaded in, going to get caught up with these guys. Again, NNR versus ENEA. It's almost, if it was still the NNR Arkham and Art series, it'd almost be like man, that would be weird. So,
yeah.
Glad that ENEA decided to go their own way, but what a matchup that would have been. Kind of like a parent versus child kind of race. I don't know. That would have been little awkward. But here we are. Looks like it's going to be the 42 of CGMX Rose on the pole. The 48 of the Aviator 2 is outside. The 14 of Amore Smoke. The 24 of Coe. So far it looks like it's going to be an NNR top 4. And Marty, we are under green.
Side by side, 2 by 2 into turn number 1. And 2.5 miles from now, you'll see them up to speed at speeds of 200 miles an hour. Amore Smoke got the good job. Now he's got a nice push coming from Knockout off of turn 2. Down to the Daytona Super Stretch for the first time today. It's Rose outside of the 14 of Smoke.
J-Mac, I'm really surprised to see Rose want to take the outside. The low line has always been dominant. Right now, they're all playing pretty well together. They're staying side by side about 5 or 6 rows deep, but that top line eventually is going to dissipate if that bottom line gets formed up and they get to pushing very, very hard.
Yeah, that absolutely smacks of a strategy call to run up there. I think they're going to try to work their way to the back here, or maybe they're just trying to get all of their drivers lined up. Maybe that was the idea, was to roll to migrate to the high side, try to get all of NNR to go up to the high. Oh, Rose using the bottom there, ends up getting up in the wall.
Yeah, it looks like they got in the wall back there, but they were able to hold on to it. Right now, the 17 of ENEA Knockout, the team owner for ENEA, Elite, what is it? NASCAR Elite Association is what that stands for. But right now they've got a train of about 5 or 6 with about a 2-car gap back to 7th or 8th. But everybody now, J-Mac, talking about the migration to that bottom line, it has officially happened as they've gone ahead to complete 2 full laps so far, all under green.
Yeah, and our pole sitter right now is tailing Charlie after that contact in turns 1 and 2 after going to the high side. That did not work out. He is trying to keep up with this field, but it looks like the field not running a very quick pace. So I really think some sort of strategy call is already in effect. Some sort of play at saving fuel, maybe tire, because the pace of this field not very fast, and you don't see any drivers really leaning on each other. There's a group of 3 well in the back that are nose to tail with each other. But honestly, it looks like these drivers being incredibly conservative here, and trying to take it easy, keep those revs down, keep that fuel in the car.
Absolutely, Marty. I mean, you look at the 17, he's actually got about a car and a half gap back to the 9, and then the 41, 0 to 2 are all nose to tail. Again, a little bit of push and shove. You don't want to slam draft here. You want to just slightly pull up if you have to, and then maybe back it down a little bit. Conserve a little bit of gas. But it has become a low line race all the way on the bottom. You have a couple of cars that have gotten stuck out to the outside. Maybe they weren't able to keep it around the butter all the way around, but there's nothing on that high side right now. It's still all the low line.
Yeah, right now that low line Amtrak train it's going pretty fast like a steamroller at the moment. Some drivers trying to peak on the high side though. I think that's Drink 91, the number 2, trying to get something working there upstairs around the World Center of Racing, with Rowdy and Conman behind them. 2 guys for ENEA trying to work together. Actually, 3 guys, rather, trying to work together. Now does the 17 of Knockout try and put the block topside? We'll just have to see what happens. But here comes the 2. New leader in turn 3 for now. Contact!
Yeah, that 17 came up. I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm sure he'd say that, hey, I hit the apron. I apologize. But that was absolutely really looked like a pretty late block attempt to me. And when you've got a 3-car powerhouse on that high side being led by the 00 of God Power, they absolutely had a whole lot of steam. But since then, they've kind of had to assimilate back to that bottom line. No real. There wasn't any real additional help on that high side. Had to kind of fill back in where everybody had to check up once that contact up front was made. But everybody, from the front all the way to the back now, one big conga line around Daytona.
Yeah, and looking at the running order and who was involved in all that, the 17 might have lifted a little bit to let his teammate in, and then that may have created the contact between himself and I believe that was the 43 that he got into. Perhaps that's 43 of NNR Rowdy on an opposite team. So already a lot of team play here going on as drivers trying to find each other, working together, and trying to score as many points as they can in this first stage. Every point is going to matter at a plate track because you don't know how things will swing as we go through the race. So you want to score when you can. And right now it looks like ENEA being very aggressive to try to get some first stage points.
You're right,
yeah.
They're being aggressive indeed, Justin. They're actually, I'm looking at shotguns on board, and they are sweeping the top 5 at the moment. First guy for NNR, well, it's the man in the number 43. That's Rowdy, currently in 6th position.
Yeah, with all that pushing and shoving along that high side, looks like it's going to be the 2-car of ENEA Drink 91 at the point, 17 right behind him. Then you've got the 22 Pennzoil Ford Mustang sitting P3, doing a pretty good job of not completely pushing each other. They're actually staying off the bumper. Maybe these guys are a little worried about that lag. Nobody wants any kind of a shot knocking people up and around and off the track. Down on the apron, who knows, those lag bumps can be pretty nasty at times. But man, this long line, and as the 9 comes across the start stripe this time, we'll go ahead and grab a lap count. Looks like it's going to be 24 laps left in stage number 1. ENEA has the first 5 spots on lock. Now, Marty, you gave a lap diagnosis, or I'm sorry, a stage diagnosis earlier for how many laps in stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3. For anybody that wasn't here earlier, you want to give them again?
Yeah, so stage 1 is set for 32 laps. Stages 2 and 3 are each about 30 laps and 33 laps, respectively. This should probably be a one-stop race. It could possibly be 2 as they come across the line. They're about 7 laps away from their fuel tanks going empty, and we'll see green flag pit stops. Now, that's going to be a key. We talked about this in pre-race here, and I'll go to you, J-Mac, because pit road can be pretty crazy, especially on the entrance. When eSpark and OMA took each other on, the first round of green flag pit stops, we saw cars going around, didn't bring a caution out because there was a solo car spin, but this can be a very slick pit road to enter.
It could be a very deceptive pit road to enter it because so much of it is dependent on the speed you carry, which is completely dependent on how fast you're running in the draft. If you're pushing in the draft, then you're going about 3 or 4 miles an hour faster, and that gives you a longer stopping distance. Also, something I have noticed with presets is for this track is that the stopping distance is actually pretty low. These cars get wound down deceptively quick. So if there are drivers that have really practiced it, that have really worked on it, they may be a little more aggressive than some drivers who haven't quite figured out their marks, how hard they want to get into pit road. And if those cars are not properly aligned, that can create some contact and that can create some of the spins that we've seen in some of these previous races. So that's definitely something to watch out for. Contact, trying to get woed down and trying to be as aggressive as you can to make as much speed as you can so you can shorten up that time down on pit road.
Looks like, J-Mac, there's about 5 or 6 cars, but one lone car all the way in the back. I was just on him a moment ago. It's going to be the 8 car of Rucker. Something has happened. I don't see any damage to that Caterpillar Camaro, but he's all by himself. A little bit of swerve in Urban. Not quite sure why, but after him and this this little pack that just came into the camera right there, they are all by their lonesome. Everybody still staying nose to tail on the bottom line, riding on board right now with the 36 of Boehner. He's got the 12 right behind him. In front of him is going to be the 24 of Coey, and then the 00 old buckshot numbers of NNR GP, or God Power, as some of y'all know him, coming to complete yet another green flag lap. You got to figure everybody's out here. They're not getting super aggressive. They're being very, very patient, just turning laps. But at what point during all this, after the pit stop is done, at what point do you say, okay, we're racing for stage points. We need max points in each stage. At what point do you say, okay, enough riding, it's go time?
I mean, that completely depends on the team plan. Right now, if you're trying to save a little fuel, a little tire to shorten up that pit stop, you're going to be content to just ride until you have to go in. As soon as those first drivers start hitting pit road, then you're going to push. Then you're going to try to make that in lap as fast as you can. And then once everyone's made their bed, so to speak, then you push, then you get aggressive, then you make moves, you try to get runs, you go to the high line, you do what you can, because at that point the field is spread out, so you have a little more opportunity. You're not trying to pass maybe 6 or 7 cars. You're only having to work against 3 or 4 maybe, and theoretically you're going to have help if you have people with you on that same strategy. So really, right now, you want to ride. You want to figure out what you're doing. You want to work on your strategy. If you want to push hard right now and lead laps, that's what you do. If you want to save fuel, that's what you do. And then once this pit stop happens, that's when everyone's going to go to work.
Real quick, just about a lap and a half ago, the back of this lead train right now got a little bit gapped up there in where Boehner is. In front of him is Coey, and behind him is Aviator. Looked like, from my perspective, as J-Mac was about to start talking, that the 36 may have gotten into the super stretch grass, and the 3 cars behind him accordion back to give him some room, and that was close to being a wreck there for a moment, folks. I don't know if they're practicing getting below that WL line, but we got some 2x2 racing happening up front. The 14 trying to make some moves here. Pete?
Yep, 14's got the 5 and then the 00. We were just talking about God Power a moment ago. So 14, the 9 of Shotgun's actually going to go ahead and pull up and try to pick up that draft. 14's going to be able to sling it on by the high side, pushing the 9 back down. Here comes the 24 of Coey. I think that question of when it might have been go time was just about answered, but it doesn't look like a More Smoke is going to have the help. He's probably going to be able to fall right back in behind the 00. Yep, Coey's going to cut him a little bit of a break. Seeing a couple cars starting to dip down below that yellow, so I think we might see the first round of green flag pit stops this time by.
Yeah, with pit stops coming up, everyone's starting to get aggressive and trying to get some more track position to make themselves put themselves in a better spot for this pit cycle. Here we go. Here comes the everybody breaking onto pit road. The 17 carrying a lot of speed, probably a little too much. We're going to have to see how much time he ends up spending on pit road. I'm not confident the 17 was able to get down to speed. These other guys, pretty smooth getting on.
And that's a big hurt right there by Knockout, who's one of the best drivers for ENEA. Actually coming in, fun fact, he's tied for 22nd of all individual points after 2 rounds. I think he came in a little bit too hot. I'm watching this stop closely. He could be held for an extra 15 seconds. Just have to see.
Yeah, talking about green flag pit stops. Yep, 17 is absolutely being held. That's going to break up their pack quite a bit, and he's not the only one, it seems, that was held. Quite a few might have gotten down pit road a bit hotter than they wanted to. That's going to absolutely break up their pack. Not only do they have a whole lot of space between them now, but now they've got to navigate the apron all the way through 1 and 2. They can't put any tires back up above the yellow line, otherwise that's a pass-through penalty. 17's really skirting that double yellow. Wait until he gets down the backstretch, then he'll merge back up. Everybody was instructed to stay on the bottom line until they knew they were clear. 17 should be able to come on up. There's no traffic anywhere near him.
And it seems like that this pit cycle was broken up into 2 different teams. Most of NEA coming on that previous lap, while most of NNR came in this one. So that was definitely the plan from the beginning, was for the NNR guys to migrate to the back to try to get this extra lap of fuel that might help them with tires, maybe to be able to take a shorter stop. But right now it's looking like it's not going to pay off, as there's a group of NEA drivers. ENEA, as you had said earlier, working around the top 4 of them nose to tail. They're going to take the lead. The 22 car is now your leader.
Boehner, real quick, I just want to mention, he got a speeding penalty, and I think actually I'm watching him right now. He merged up a little bit too early before hitting the backstretch, so would not be surprised if race control called a penalty on Boehner as well. 2 penalties, which would really hurt him and possibly put him a lap down. That would really be unfortunate.
All right, so we kind of caught on with what happened after all of ENEA went on down pit road. They got very broken apart, and you saw their pack of 4 come on whipping on by all the NNR cars as they were about to merge up on the track. There's a pack of about 5 or 6 NNR cars, a couple more right behind them, including the 48 and the 24 being Coey, leader of NNR. How many laps do you think it'll take before these cars might be able to get back together, or do you think the ENEA drivers just have too big of a gap back to them, J-Mac?
I believe those 4 out front, if they can stay nose to tail, that group back there probably not going to catch them. It's about to be 5v5 or 5v6 now with that extra car with the 2. If he's able to hang on, they might have to slow down just a little bit to help him catch up. But that, I think, is the last bit of speed they're going to lose here. The 9 and really probably needs to be a little bit closer down the straightaways. Obviously, pushing doesn't really help once you're the 3rd car back in line through the corners. But I think they need to be a little bit tighter if they're going to keep that speed up and keep that gap on that 2nd pack. But if they can stay lined up, they can get a little lucky with the mule kicks, then I think they have picked the winning strategy, the winning move, as long as they have enough fuel to make to the end of the stage.
Well, Marty, you talked about the 36 of Boehner. It looks like the 4 car also got some kind of a penalty. He's skirting the apron right now, trying to get back up to speed, coming up through the gears. He's going to merge back up onto the backstretch, and it absolutely looks like that train of 5 is getting caught by the train of 6. Just behind them. We'll have to see if the 4 or the 36 are able to blend in. It doesn't look like it, but both teams separated pack for pack, 5 versus 6. 22 is going to go ahead and give up the lead, maybe pull out, save just a little bit of gas, or he caught the apron right there and was not able to hold on to it. This
that's
little bit
really
of
going to slow them
side-by-side is
down.
definitely allowing that pack in the back to catch up.
Yeah, well, the thing is, though, he just touched the apron again, but I think he's trying to save some gas right now, try and get the drive, because the guy that's saving the Lustfield at the moment are the guys that are leading these 2 trains. You know, obviously you got Hydra out in the lead, but as we were talking about earlier, if the 6-car train is going to catch them, it could be a possibility, because the bigger of a draft train you have, the more speed you will get you'll get in the train. Unfortunately, but with it being 6 versus 5, I don't see something happening. But actually, now rethinking what I'm saying, they're starting to get a little. They could get merged together within 3 to 5 laps, and I think that's going to happen. So we'll just have to see what happens. The guy that's first on the first car lap down, I think it's Drake 91. So if that is correct, he would receive the free pass at the end of when we get the next caution coming out, whenever that's going to be. Yeah, look at that. These 2 CXS trains, they're about to merge into one. Here it is. Look at that.
That was an excellent call on the strategy there, Marty. That front group is having to save a little fuel. Meanwhile, that group of NNR drivers, they were able to pull up onto them. They're about to try to take it 3 wide on the outside. The 22 moved up trying to block the 5 and the 14 and the 43. They're lined up on the top. The 22 in the sucker hole.
Yeah, 22 is definitely in the sucker hole. And that was a very, very late move. 22 again.
There we go.
Yep, 22 moved on up. I don't know if he just trying to grab a little air or what that was.
Contact with the 41. I think him and the 41 got together.
Yep, that was kind of a late move in my book. But yeah, that was definitely an interesting move by ENEA to come on up and block the run that NNR had on the high side. So now it's 3 up high, 4 on the bottom. The 4 on the bottom will definitely win, but some very, very unfortunate contact between these guys. I think we might see a lot of payback here in the later stages. I don't think the guys that were coming up on the high side really appreciated that contact from the 22.
Absolutely. The blocking is fair game, but once you start getting muscled around a little bit, that's where that line might be considered to be crossed. And as you said, I bet these NNR guys, they're gonna get their elbows out, and they're gonna give back what it seems like the NEA guys have been starting this race with. But right now they're getting aggressive with their own drivers. The 5 tried to put the 41 3 wide, not able to complete that move. He's gonna have to fall in behind him. This group on the outside, but that's the thing. The 41, he gets led in line by the 2, and now the NNR guys.
5 in the wall.
Yep, 5 of Parzival who pulled that long train back up to this group. A little bit of contact with the outside wall. Don't see any real severe damage that 5 Chevy Camaro, but he's a little bit further back. I'm sure he's hoping that, I believe that's going to be the 14 of a more smoke is right in front of me, might kind of check up for him. But yeah, this lead pack is very spread out now.
Something else I'm noticing here, guys, is the 2 car, who's currently right now the 4th car in this lead train. There's a possibility where he may not be getting the free pass here, because if you look, just about a straightaway ahead is Rucker in the 8 car, and that could definitely change everything whenever the next caution comes out. That would hurt the 2. That would, I believe, if I'm doing my math right, that would remain a lap down. And with the fact that Rucker doesn't have the draft at the moment, he's like about 5 to 10 miles an hour slower than the leaders.
J-Mac, these cars are separated all over the place now. Right now, keeping up with the 43 of Rowdy, getting a big old push from the 14 of a more smoke. This time, the 6 car not able to do anything with the 43. That high line has 3 NNR cars just going to go ahead and completely overtake that 6. So if you figure the front pack is about 3 strong, trying to catch up with them right now. Let's see, that's not it. Nope. There we go. So it's going to be the... I don't think that's it either. That's not the 3. Where are we here? Where are we? Okay, I think...
Leaders in Alpha 2.
Yep, leaders in the 22. Okay, so here we are. So we got the 22, we got the 41, we got the 2 car, then we got 3 NNR cars followed by the 6 of ENEA. So right now, as at least the top 6 or top 7 J-Mac, it's pretty even on points. We'll have to see what kind of run this pack of 4 can get on that pack of 3, and if we see any kind of blocking either up high or down low, as we saw just a moment ago.
Yeah. You have to wonder if maybe that front pack, as they get 2x2 here, the NNR are going to try to hold that line as they're basically racing against NEA for the victory on this stage. Three from each league battling each other, but the 6 kind of inexplicably lost that group of 4. And a minute ago, while that group of 3 NNR drivers were able to catch the NEA group, 43, not quite clear there. Have to wonder if either A, they're mill kicking, or B, they are having to save some fuel because they were really spread apart, and the 6 inexplicably again lost them. So just they had this sort of almost in the bag, but maybe missed a little bit on their strategy, as NNR are now trying to take control, even though it is only 3v4 here in the top 7. Getting those first 3 spots would be huge for points as they're trying to grab some draft off of that 8 car out in front.
Yeah, 8 car down up in front. Now that 6 car that you were just talking about is going to go ahead and lend a little bit of a hand to the ENEA guys. That's his team. Looks like the 8 car. He's going to go ahead and move on down, not play any part to this front group. And you were talking about these guys a little bit ago, maybe saving a little bit of gas or doing whatever. Watching the stream from Shotgun, his fuel light is actually on, and all those ENEA guys, they actually pitted 1 lap before the NR team. So we'll have to see if that comes into play. But this battle up front is very, very tense.
Pete, I don't mean to correct you, but that's actually not his fuel light. That's actually its engine light. Those temps are getting pretty hot. Obviously hotter behind when these guys are sucked up in that dirty air behind the cars in front of them. So yeah. Also, I was a little bit surprised there last time by going into turn 3 that smoke didn't cut down in front of the 22 Conman. Stayed in that neutral groove in the middle line of the track, but was able to get that nice draft help and keep the race lead. Now these guys, looking at Shotgun stream, this is 2 laps out, and I think at the stripe this is going to be 2 laps to go in the stage. Now this is the big thing that would hurt them. Pit road is closed now with 2 laps to go. So this is going to be interesting. These guys are going to be losing, if their fuel tanks run dry, they're going to be losing some speed. And yeah, Shotgun's fuel light just came on.
And the 5 and the 14 aggressively driving, trying to get away from these guys. I do believe, as you said, those ENEA drivers did have to come in 1 lap earlier. They're having to save. Meanwhile, the 14 and the 5, Amore and Parzival, they're able to push, and they're almost like old schools. The 41, he gets put up in the wall as the stage is wanting to close. It almost looks like real life tandeming from the early 2010s as they're working their way to the start finish line.
Yep. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Nick.
Oh, I was done.
Oh, okay. I thought I heard Marty say something. Yep.
Yeah, stage 1's done.
Yep. So stage 1's done. Is going to be all the 5 of Parzival and the 4 of More Smoke. That train they were able to get on the high side. So More Smoke, Parzival in P1, P2. Conman, and he's going through the roster a little quick. Sorry. Hopefully he scrolls on back down, but I don't think he will. There's a mixture of ENEA and NNR guys all throughout the top 10 and later in the running order. So it's going to be very, very interesting when Slide Job comes in to give us that points break.
Yeah, stage 1 is looking really close right now. I'm interested to see what happens here as we begin stage 2, about 30 laps here in this stage.
All right, it's going to be the 14 of More Smoke and the 5 of Parzival. They're going to be our control cars. They're going to get the lead this car back as we take them green again here.
So correction there. Stage 2 now is set at 29 laps, but Smoke got a good jump, was able to cut down in front of the 5 car of Parzival. 43's in third. First car running the top side. I believe that's the 3 of Hound Dog, but that high side's going to dissipate for right now with the 22 Conman taking a peek. Let's see if he can get this high groove to work down the super stretch.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to see. NNR Coe now a little bit further in the back, giving the 48 a big old shove. They're going to be able to work their way under the 3, now underneath the 12, and underneath the 41, underneath the 22. So now it's almost like, yep, saw that contact there. Now it almost seems like ENEA is taking a lesson from the book of what we saw American Ethanol and NNR do in stage
they were still wrecking. Drake got turned across the tri-oval, and the 8 got into him.
Yeah,
I don't think that's going to be a caution, though. That may have been a lag spike. I'm not too sure how
it looked like the 43 slid up just a little bit out of turn 4, tried to correct it, and the 6 slid up under him to try to fill that hole, and got a little chop into the infield. But we noticed it in the previous stage. The aggression, once these drivers kind of got into actual re-racing, the aggression ramped up, and I believe that was a product of that, as these drivers trying to get all they can before we get single filed out, before we start working on the strategy here. And as you said, you have to wonder if maybe they're taking a page from that previous stage. Honestly, maybe NEA, they worked their way to the back a little bit. Maybe they're the ones that are going to try to save a little bit here, as it's looking very NNR heavy toward the front.
Yeah, absolutely. And to answer Marty, it doesn't look like caution's going to come out at all. I thought maybe they were just racing back to the green flag, racing back to the stripe rather. But nope, they're staying green, and we are back to that conga line all the way through the bottom as we come to complete yet another lap under green.
Yeah, no one really trying to be risky here going into turn number 1. I think the 12 machine trying to get risky a little bit. In the wall, and a 3 wide there in the back of the pack. That's Annihilator. Going to lose some time. He's going to fall back to the cargo line of this train. I'm not sure how you call it on a train. It's the Porsche, similar to that, though. But, yeah, now it looks like the 78 trying to make a peek outside Cowboy. So we'll see how he does here into turn 3.
Everybody on the bottom coming off of.
He's in the wall.
Boehner trying to split the 73 after he made a little bit of contact with the wall. The 3 and the 73, a little bit of contact, not too bad, but that's definitely going to push him a little bit further back. There's a couple cars now back there that have completely lost this very, very large front pack. Everybody trying to follow and keep up with the 14 of Amore Smoke. Now, J-Mac, right now, Amore is burning the most amount of fuel. You've raced against this guy in both the E-Spark as well as when we ran the Farewell to Heat 4 More Than a Cape.org Pro Invitational just a couple short months ago. Amore, he's no slouch on these presets. Neither are a lot of these NNR guys. ENEA, they came to play as well as they shown in the first stage. Do you anticipate, or do you think that Amore will say, you know what, I've had enough of leading, I want to drop back? Or does he take a look at the train behind him in this rear view, maybe halfway through the corner where you can see a little bit more of the cars, and say, nah, I'm going to stay right where I am because I know if I duck out, I'm going to the back?
Well, with the shorter stage length, you obviously have to save less fuel to pull off the same strategy they pulled this time. So maybe he's just deciding to race it hard, to go hard, and he's just going to push. And they're not really pushing on each other too hard, so he might be backing up the pace a touch. But I highly doubt it. But I think by this point, if he hadn't moved to the back, if he hadn't bailed, if he hadn't decided. As this pack, this entire front pack is very, very NNR heavy. So he would be amongst allies if he were to drop back to the back end. So I think he's content to push, to lead laps, and to pull this train. And as you said, he's going to have to pit a little bit earlier. I'm sure he'll have a group of guys who come in with him, and I imagine that they already know that that's going to be within that fuel window to take that lesser amount of fuel on their stop that they need to make it all the way. So I think he's just content to push and to pull, and I think these guys behind him are content to run in line, because this is looking like a very good start to this stage for NNR.
Yeah, Marty, right now, all the top 5, at least the top 6, back to the 00 of God Power right now. All really, really hugging that bottom line. We saw in stage 1, the positions that NNR is in right now is where ENEA was. They came on down, they grabbed their 4 brand new Eagle Feel Goods, or at least the right sides, filled it up on fuel, and came on back out. A few laps later, NNR was able to keep up. That's where we saw the calamity between the high and the low side. They pit 1 lap sooner, and as you mentioned, Shotgun was he was kind of having to save a little bit as it came to the first green and white checker that we came to. Do you think with NNR lined up behind the 14 of Amore Smoke that they would all be willing to come down that 1 lap sooner if Amore has to? Or do they say, okay, you know what, buddy, we appreciate you allowing us to save a little bit of gas. You go ahead and pit with the ENEA guys, and we'll catch back up with you later.
Well, we know obviously stage 2 is set at 29 laps, so this is guaranteed to be a one-stop stage here. But I think if you're ENEA, pit all together at the same time if you're in this lead pack, and try and pit before NNR does. The reason why is because you get all that horsepower, not as much as, more than NNR will have as their accident if they come in 1 lap later than ENEA does. So if I'm ENEA, I'd probably say go 1 lap earlier. And also, I believe Slide Job's in the room right now for a stage 1 update.
Go for it, sir.
Yeah, I'm sure you really want to know this one, boy. Do I have a close one for you? We said this might be the most evenly matched round or race in the round. How about this? ENEA 26, NNR 29.
Wow. So a 3-point margin, which is nothing here for NNR. So 29-26, NNR, ENEA. Guys, we are just getting started. We're not even halfway. So far, knock on something. Whether it's pressed wood or not, I don't care. We haven't seen any big lag bumps, server bumps, whatever. Seeing more contact between guys trying to block and do whatever they felt they needed to do out there on track than any issues with the lobby. So, Slide Job, whatever praying to whatever gods you did before this race kicked off, you need to do that for the rest of the showdown, okay? And I take it he's gone. J-Mac, talk about close points.
Absolutely, but this is a great opportunity to blow this open with 7 NNR drivers, 3 ENEA. I will never be able to say that. However long we stream, I will not be able to get that out. But right now, this top 10 completely in favor. The 17 is pushing hard, trying to make passes, trying to get a run. They lost their buddy in the 3 car, so it's now only 3 against 7. Right now, they're going to have to figure out a way to make passes. It's probably going to have to be during this pit cycle. But they're fighting a losing battle, as this front pack is your top 10 and would be who scores points in this stage if the stage ended right now. To go back to what you were saying earlier about pitting, I think if these drivers stay together, if they stay with them more, if these 7 pit at the same time, even if they pit that lap earlier, I believe if they can stay tucked up and keep speed up and not end up on pit road, I think they'll end up in good shape. They'll be able to keep those cars wound up, drafted together, and I don't know. They're in a great spot right now. They're going to be tough to beat if something doesn't change here before the stage ends.
Yeah, they will absolutely be tough. Marty, I tell you, talking about maybe blowing this out of the water, I just caught back up to the 42 of CGMX Road, so from first through seventh now, all NNR. And if this truly is a one-stop race, even for the leader in that 14, they are going to be very, very tough to beat, because it looks like almost the rest of ENEA is dispersed throughout different parts of the track. There aren't very many ENEA drivers right here in this top 10 or 11.
Yeah, I think what they're doing right now, I think they're being conservative, but I think it's just a little bit too conservative right now. They are way far behind out of this lead pack, and that's not really what you want to be doing. Is they're catching up to some lap traffic. Two of the guys that were involved in that moment there earlier. That's Hydra for ENEA, as well as I believe that's the 8 machine for NNR. Let me just confirm here through real quick. That's Rucker. So yeah, but right now, if you're NNR right now, sweeping the top 7, you're all gonna want to come together at the same time. No question about it.
Yeah, it looks like a little bit of lap cars. They were asked, to kind of keep out of the way, but that didn't happen. Either that, or some of the guys were just trying to status that they were going to be coming down pit road either this or the next. But they definitely came into play more than they probably should have right there, as now they're all intermixed. And here comes most of NNR down pit road at the same time, doing exactly what they needed to do. Now we'll have to see if any get caught for speeding. But J-Mac, I'm sure you saw, and I'm sure that you've done this yourself. When coming down towards pit road at either Daytona or Talladega, you're going to have some guys go down the low line, some guys stay up on high, and then you kind of meet when you get to the commitment cone. That way you've got about a car length distance between you and the guy in front. You got a little bit extra of a buffer when you're trying to woe it up, and nobody gets wrecked out. But great pit entrance by just about all of NNR right there.
Yeah, and what you're trying to accomplish is just not pushing that guy on the pit road in front of you. He'd spin him out, but also cause him to speed, and that might not even be just trying to do that naturally. It might be just trying to protect him from a desync in the server. That's the idea there, by spreading out and trying to take care of each other. They did an excellent job of that. A little spread out here. They might have to woe up a little if they want to keep the 24 with them. This is a group of 6. I believe maybe a couple of cars up there took a little less fuel, a little less tire or something. But right now it's looking like a group of how many cars are up in that front group? Yeah, it's 5. And then the 24 of Coe really lagging back off of them. Don't know if they're going to want to lean back to pick him up or if they're going to keep it up as is. But like you said, NNR are doing what they needed to do. I think they want to just stay together, and they want to push, lock up nose to tail, make up as much time as they can so that they can get a gap on that group of 3 that they were battling with.
Yeah, Marty, I think right now it's actually showing that the 17 is the leader. 17, he's mixed.
17 just spun. 17, almost spun, my bad. Just lost it coming off of turn 2. Some of those drivers actually clipping the track there. But as of right now, I believe that Parsifal has the race to lead with Shotgun at being the last car on the lead lap. I'm not sure what's going on. But yeah, that was the ENEA. I believe that was coming on out. Now, I think that's a good idea. Just don't be working together. Let these guys behind you catch up. But at the same time, they got a bigger train, obviously. I think that's like, 6 cars with the 43 at the tail there. So they'll be able to catch up to that other tandem there. I think it's the 41 of Justin and the 22 of Conman. And they'll get together, and then they'll catch up to the race leader. But I believe it is Parsifal that is out in front.
Yeah, and I'm watching Parsifal right now, and he is getting blocked to high heaven by this 9 car of NEA Shotgun, simultaneously trying to hold his spot on the lead lap as well as slow down this 5 car, bring him back to the pack. He's trying to break the draft, trying to run different lines, trying to keep him behind him, being very aggressive right now doing so. I guess technically within the rules of decency, in that you typically race hard to stay on the lead lap, but I do not doubt that the 5 car is completely frustrated with how he's getting raced by the 9 right now.
Yeah, Shotgun is kind of reminding me of like good old no-neck Newman, Ryan Newman, trying to stay on that lead lap for right now. What do you think? I mean, even if he does become the first car a lap down, J-Mac, whenever this next caution comes out right now, it's looking pretty good that he'll receive the free pass.
Well, there's two other cars back there that have also lost the lead lap. It looks like, I believe that 22 and the 41. I'm not 100% sure if those are on the lead lap. Maybe they are. But yeah, the nine being super aggressive.
Wow.
He blocks the 14. The 14 has to take it to the middle. You can block once, but you can't block twice. And the 9 just learned that lesson as he made a little contact. They make it through, but any EA shotgun is going to fall to the end of this line, and we're going to move a more smoke back to the lead of this race.
Did you just see how many spots the 5 just plummeted after having no draft whatsoever? Like 3 spots. He's back in 4th position right now. Right now, a 5 NNR. Just be conservative right now. Don't be racing. You're looking really good in stage 2. Yeah, just race it out.
Yeah, race it out. And I tell you, that lead pack is the 9 of Shotgun is actually just now coming on down pit road. If this is truly a one-stop race, or one-stop stage rather, I don't know why 9 would have stayed out so long. Maybe he was hoping for a caution, thinking that a lot of these guys are going to have to get on down pit road. They're going to have to woe it up, maybe make some contact. Caution would come out. He would be able to inherit the lead, but it just doesn't look like that worked out for Shotgun, and he just got freight trained, and he will go it more than a lap down. He's going to be all by himself. It looks like he's taking 4 tires, filling it up. Only about 11 laps left here in the stage. He's going to go a lap down.
Yeah, I don't really know the benefit of a strategy that doesn't involve staying with the lead pack at least through that first run of a stage. So to lean that far back off everybody, ooh, the 14 with a bit of a mule kick, that's going to really shuffle all of this up. More smoke slinging back into the 48 just a little bit. That's going to pull them apart, but the 22 and the 41 in the back not going to be able to do anything with that little NNR breakup. I think they're going to be able to get tightened back up here and hold on to these spots. Again, this is a perfect scenario for NNR in this stage to kind of break this race open and to put themselves in the catbird seat for that third stage and to force ENEA, ENEA, I will never get it, to be even more desperate than they already seem to have been, as they're putting more of that team a lap down.
I want to talk about Shotgun real quick, guys, because this is really unfortunate for ENEA because he is one of the team's best drivers for this team. Last time out, I called his race at Watkins Glen, dominated the race, got 60 points for his team out of that, tied for second of all the drivers coming in with 118, tied with the Rangers, who's actually in the chat watching, I believe. So hello to you there, good sir. But this right now is not good for ENEA. They're gonna have to hope for multiple cautions to come out if Shotgun wants to get back on this lead lap and have a chance at helping his team take advance to the short tracks.
We wondered if there was any kind of a benefit to the 9 going on down pit road right there. It actually turns out that was not a normal pit stop. John Fry of Fry Dog from eSpark checking in right now. He's one of the admins for tonight's race. I believe that they've actually got 3 sets of eyes out there keeping an eye on things, and that was actually a pass through for the 9. I'm going to guess they saw that block that Shotgun tried to make, thought that was a little bit too aggressive, and it violated their aggressive driving rule that's in place.
That's an unfortunate double-edged sword right there. Well, not a double-edged sword, but a double kick to the face, whatever you want to call it. To go a lap down and then to get penalized, trying to hold on to that lead lap, maybe going a little bit beyond the bounds of fairness and getting yourself a penalty. But you got to hand it to these NNR guys. They have worked together really well together. Their strategy kind of got a little interesting there in the first stage. It kind of got them separated throughout the field, and ENEA was able to capitalize on it a bit. But in this second stage, they have run their strategy pretty much to a T, and they are going to score a lot of points unless something changes here, because that group of now 4 ENEA drivers, they're on multiple different laps, but they're amassing numbers, but so far they have not been able to do anything. They haven't been able to get really organized enough. They've done a lot more bouncing off of each other than really drafting, and that's cost them a lot of time, a lot of speed here, and that's going to cost them a lot of points if they can't figure something out as the stage starts winding down.
Yeah, stage is winding down. I'll tell you what, J-Mac, are you a back to 09 kind of guy, or the days of EA?
I was around in 09, yes, sir.
Okay, so you remember how the game used to start up right then? It was like ENEA, it's in the game. So there you go.
Yeah.
Just think, if that helps you, there you go. EA.
I don't know if
game.
anything will help me with that, but I'll give it a go. But I might just start saying it's in the game in that deep gravelly voice.
Those
we
were
might
the
have made it
good days
worse.
back then. But hey, look on the bright side. At least when it comes to this game, we got Ken Squire announcing the intro.
There you go. Yep. Ken Squire announcing the intro. We had David Hoots calling cautions, not season 2, but season 1 for the Pro League. Many NASCAR people have been affiliated with Heat 4 and Heat 5. I'm still waiting for those ever impressive tools to come on out to where we'd have a running order while we're watching, and lap counter and all that was promised in the trailers. And each time I ask, they say, oh, it's in QA. Well, QA is probably going to pass it by the time the next game comes out on the new engine, and then who knows what we're going to see. But I digress.
I second that pretty much. Yeah, I was really hoping for a ticker and lap counter. I've always said that. We'll see what happens. Whenever the next NASCAR game comes out in 2021, I am hopeful that that comes out on the Xbox Series X and is met for that design. And if it is, I'm going in on that.
Well, me personally, and I don't know about you, J-Mac, but I've got an Xbox One X. It does the job for me. I'm fine with everything we've got, and NNR right now is fine with everything they've got, as they just came across the line that time. There were 3 laps remaining, so 3 more laps until the 14 of a more smoke, if it stays the way it is right now. Getting a huge shove from the 48. He's going to see that first. He's going to see that green and white checker first. Question is, who's going to be behind him, and how are they going to line up?
41 car guy in the grass there, excuse me. Sorry to interrupt you there.
Yeah. Him and the 22 made a lot of contact there. I was kind of wondering if these drivers, if pride would kind of come to the forefront there, and if we'd see some of these NNR guys try to race it out a little bit. And we saw them a couple of them lean back and try to make a run, but nothing really materializing from it. The 22 tried that entire stage to try to gin something up, but just didn't have the numbers. And I'm pretty safe to say that was a dominating stage for NNR. And now with a bunch of ENEA off the lead lap, they're not in a good position here to score a lot of points in this third stage. They're going to have to they're going to have to do a lot of work if they're going to make up that gap that was just amassed and win this round.
Absolutely. I apologize for being off in the lap count, guys. I forgot. I've been riding along with the 9 of shotgun for laps and see what was going on with fuel and whatnot, and he was a lap down. So unfortunately, I was a lap down. But now I'm right where I should be. I'm going to get back up with our control car. Got the 48 of the Aviator, last season and the season before's NNR Cup Series champ. So old Mr. Two-Time there, he's going to go ahead and be able to fill that hole right behind the 14 of a more smoke. I know the kind of equipment that both of them have. 48 waited until after he passed the start stripe to go ahead and change lanes, so it was completely legit. Behind them going to be the double O of NNR God Power, or NNR GP. Top line starting to form up a little bit, all behind that 14 bottom line. This time they've got the less numbers here, J-Mac.
Aggressive move by the 41 to take it 3 wide up the middle. The 24 and the 5, 2 NNR drivers leaving a lot of room there for the 41 to make it. The 3 struggling to hold that line, bounces off the 24 and the 5. The 5 of Parzival is going to get the worst end of that exchange. just to, if you're gonna stick it up the middle, you gotta hold that line. And the 3 kind of got behind in the steering and started bouncing off of him. But he's gonna end up the farthest up of those ENEA drivers as they're working their way forward. But it looks like the 41 and the 48, the 0 and the 43, they get together. They're trying to check up, and that's gonna cause a big wreck in the back.
Yes, 17 of ENEA knockout definitely went around. I see the 43 of Rowdy, I believe, back here as well. So we'll see if they're racing it back to the line, or if they say, oh no, it didn't block the track, or whatever the caution rules are for Daytona. Kind of drawing a blank right now. So let's see if they start blowing it down.
Yep,
they are.
Coming out.
They're
wrecking after the yellow.
Big wreck. Either our pace car needed to get out there a little quicker, or they needed to go another lap around before merging with him. But a big wreck coming to the pace car. But that entire accident, the yellow flag came out because, just like in stage 1, the NNR drivers moved to that outside line, checking up to try to move to the back of the pack to save some fuel, and just a little bit of contact got in the wall, got thrown off of that wall, was, I believe, the 43 car in the 00, and that's what started that entire accident. So just a strategy gone wrong, kind of like in the first stage when we saw the 42 get up there. He went from first to dead last out of the pack. Once again, unlike stage 2, strategy kind of biting NNR in the butt there in this stage.
Well, I'll tell you what, the Dohar has not done anything nice to this good humor Camaro. It looks like he just got done with 100 laps at Bristol. He's not in good humorous spirits, I can tell you that. But that's all right. Everybody filed up behind this ZL1 Camaro. They're going to go ahead and get ready to come on down pit road. I would imagine that most would come, but we'll have to see. Definitely see some guys staying out. I'm going to guess it's going to be the guys that were one lap or more down. You can almost guarantee, that the 9 of Shotgun will stay out. He's either going to be the first car one lap down, or he may take the wave around, especially since we've only gone a lap.
Well, that wreck coming to the pace car definitely changed some of these drivers' strategies here. They're going to have a lot of damage to repair that they weren't expecting to, and that's going to change everything. Probably going to take 4 in fuel anyway, just to make sure you're full on everything. You got to repair damage. You're probably going to come out in the back anyway, so might as well get everything, make it as fast as you can, give yourself some options as this race goes forward. But definitely going to want to stay out here if you're trying to get a wave around, trying to get a lap back. We see the lucky dog. He's already taken off down the back straight. So I believe the 41 car is going to be your leader here. And it's looking like a very ENEA heavy front to this group here. They're going to try some strategy, try to choke up these NNR drivers and try to score some points. That's one way to make up the gap, is some aggressive strategy. And here early in stage 3, they're already employing one.
And I like this call that ENEA is doing with some of their leaders staying out, because remember, we got one stop left to go. These other guys behind are just topping off on fuel. They'll be able to come in about 2 laps later than what these guys that are staying out would be doing. So right now, I could see it possibly in favor of the leaders right now, ENEA, but at Daytona International Speedway, anything can happen at the World Center of Racing. We haven't seen anything yet, and it's just the beginning of stage 3.
Right, and we're going to see the guys that were a lap down or more come on down pit road, and you're starting to see quite a few. And I'm thinking that this isn't just the cars that were a lap down, such as the 9 of Shotgun, but the 78, he was actually sitting in P2. He's going to come on down pit road. You saw the 24 of Coey come into frame. He's going to come in and top off. So now, Mac, the question is going to be, who's going to be able to find each other on track, or are you going to find yourself intermingled with ENEA versus NNR right there on track, mixing it up side by side, or now nose to tail, where they were lined up almost team for team?
Well, I think the strategy here is you have to kind of race for yourself here at the start. Unless there's an obvious opportunity to let one of your teammates in to find one of them, I think you just kind of need to race for yourself here for a couple of laps. Let this get sorted out. Let everything get straightened out. Run your strategy, run your race, and then once everything kind of gets single file spread out, you kind of figure out where all of your teammates are, and you're not trying to make crazy moves on that are choking the field down or putting yourself in a vulnerable spot. Then you can work your way to your team. But I believe with so many drivers pitting that second pace lap, I have to imagine there's going to be a lot of fuel saving. So these drivers up in the front, I have a feeling this is going to be a very slow pack. I don't think the pace is going to be very quick this fuel run here. If I had a guess, that's just a hunch I've got. But I imagine these leaders are going to be choking the field down, and these drivers behind are going to be trying to choke off of the field to keep that fuel mileage up.
Well, Justin, we are racked and stacked back up. We're going to see if that Good Humor 88 driven by the one and only JRM Dohar, it looks like he is going to stay out one more time. They may be trying to get the field stacked up just as it's supposed to be, and the 41 and the 14, so it's going to be the 41 of ENEA on the bottom, 14 of More Smoke to the outside. So it's NNR outside, ENEA inside. We've seen the inside be more dominant. This might be what helps ENEA gain just a few more points depending on what happens here in the rest of this race.
Absolutely. This is a little bit risky that Justin Helton's pulling off here. But when you think of it again, he's got his teammate of Conman behind him on the inside. So they'll be able to work together. And I guarantee you this, when we go back to green, that 41 and 22 are not going to be giving More Smoke any room to get down to the bottom line, because that's where you want to be, obviously, at Daytona.
And I'm also looking at that 12. What kind of move is he going to make on the 14? The 12 and the 17 are two more ENEA drivers. So what kind of moves are they going to pull on this 14 car to try to put him in the sucker hole, put him 3 wide? More in a very vulnerable spot here at the start of this run, and not really liking that position. He's in the already at a detriment spot in that outside line. Plus, he is surrounded by zero friendlies. We have to go back to Parzival in the inside of third row before we find a friend.
Now, I know that these guys can't cross, they can't change lanes before the start stripe, which isn't really much of an issue here. It's not like Talladega where the start-finish line is a little bit further down. I know More Smoke drives with one of the G920s, and he's got himself a great shifter. J-Mac, you know just as well as I do, with the Fanatec equipment that you race with, those shifters easily give you about a tenth in the bank. We'll have to see what kind of start a More Smoke gets, or is the 41 gonna get a great lead himself? But here they are, back under green, Marty. 41-14 staying side by side, right along with the two Penske cars right behind him.
About 27 laps to go, and yes, there you see the 14 not able to get down the bottom, but they got 3 cars on the top side. That's Smoke, Annihilator, and Knockout. Now, the 12 and the 17 are from ENEA. They're trying to make their way up to the front to try and help eNASCAR Elite get some more points, but at the same time, they're pushing a rival driver back to the race lead. Smoke, Kenny clear in front. Not just yet.
No, 12 kind of lost the draft or backed off. But yeah, that was kind of interesting to see. But a More Smoke definitely holding on that outside with a huge shove from the 12 and the 17. 17 has been strong all race long. Kind of got into some issues earlier, but this goes to show you, if you can hold that outside, if you can hold it nice and steady, keep the people wound up right behind you all the way around, you can be competitive there, as we're starting to see more cars recognize that and jump to the outside.
Yeah, I think that might be I'm sorry to step over you there, but I think the 41 might be trying to do a little fuel saving, might be choking that down just a little bit. You see the 14 get a great run off of the corners, and that's one thing that is a characteristic of racing at Daytona is
we got 2 cars spinning.
Lane. Oh, we have a big wreck. Well, not big enough. But that's the thing. You could keep a great run off of the corners. There's the 14, muscles his way out to the front. It was either pure speed, pure determination, or that 41 trying a little bit of strategy. But either way, an excellent move by Moore to take that lead back all by himself without any friendlies.
Yeah, now he's going to go ahead and pick up that 41 Haas Automation Chevy all the way down this super stretch. So put the 14 of Amore Smoke back up in P1. Nobody can make it here from here on out on fuel, Marty. We're going to go ahead and grab a lap count this time by, see what we've got, kind of do the math, what's going to be shaken up as all these guys are going to have to come on down pit road one time. It should just be one time at the line that time, 25 laps to go.
Yeah, but remember, Shotgun's a lap down, so I believe that is 24 laps to go. So I believe we took the restart at about 29 to 27 laps to go. I think it was 29 laps to go. You're going to see these guys come in just between 10 to 15 laps to go. And then when we get to 10 laps to go, if a yellow
flag on the apron
comes out, it is going to be a sprint race to see who will get the most points at the end. And speaking of points, I think Mr. Slide Job has entered the chat.
Bring it to us, Slide Job.
Well, we saw a momentum shift in Stage 2. We saw such a close Stage 1. Well, it looked like NNR put on their big boy pants and went to town in Stage 2. They're going to win Stage 2 49-6.
All right, so grand total between the two stages. Drum roll, please.
It's going to be a grand total of 78 points for NNR to a 32 points for ENEA.
All right, J-Mac, there you go. So NNR jumping ahead. We saw top 6, top 7 in at the end of stage 2. Beat NNR. They took that stage with just force. Max points is really paid out though in stage 3. I mean, you could completely flip a race if you're able to get it done here in about 20 some odd laps.
And speaking,
go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, you cut out there for a second. I thought you were done. Keep going.
Do you think ENEA is in position to really make a challenge here, or do you think that NNR might just have this wrapped up?
Well, as few laps as we had it for this restart, 28 laps, 29 laps, however many it is, that tells me, based on the fuel number, those drivers that came in at the back to top off on fuel, to pit stop again, they're going hard. They aren't doing that to try any sort of fuel strategy. They did that to push. They did that so they didn't have to worry about it, so they could full throttle it the rest of this race and push, make moves. Now, obviously, there was a bit of a dust up in turns 1 and 2 a few laps ago that really, or 3 and 4, I guess is where it was. But either way, one of the corners, one of the ends of the track, there was a big dust up that really separated this pack. And right now, it's a modestly ENEA. Well, no, it's actually pretty even. I believe there's 3 NNR drivers and 4 ENEA drivers in this front pack of. So yeah, I'm trying to find out if I can count here. I don't know my numbers, but anyways, But right now, already a poor start for those drivers, 8th on back, and that as evenly divided, as evenly grouped as this front pack is amongst teams. There's not going to be a lot of points there to earn for ENEA, so they're going to have to figure out some strategy, or they're going to have to hope for another yellow. But again, the yellows are dependent on the big pack being on top of each other and racing hard, and right now. That second group, it would benefit them to get in a straight single file line, just as it would benefit this group up here to be in a straight single file line. Maybe some of these ENEA drivers that are in this front pack need to start racing these NNR guys, slow this pack down, allow more of their teammates to catch them to get back to them here, as we see the 17 kind of root the 48 out of the way, give him a couple of taps as he goes by. Aviator not going to appreciate that pass at all, but the 17, he'd move him up to the 6th spot, Aviator back to 7th. But I
just want to follow up on this. Looking at this second pack here, there's a bunch of NNR guys in here, led by right now Coey in that 24. Maybe they realize that they dominated stage 2 49-6, and now they have that 40-some point lead at the moment. I think right now they're just being conservative early on before pit stops, because they don't want to risk wrecking their cars after what happened in stage 2. If you wreck that car, you're falling way to the back of the pack, and it could spoil the hopes of advancing to the short track round, the quarterfinals, without a wild card spot. So we'll just have to see what happens. After we have pit stops, it's going to give us a clearer idea of what's going to happen in these final laps of the race, unless a yellow comes out. And I think we're in that range, that if a yellow does come out at this time, this could be a sprint race to the end. And we saw that in the eSpark versus OMA race last week.
Well, Coey was one of the ones to come on back down pit road to top off. So Coey, like J-Mac was just saying, he is out here. He knows he can go full bore. He knows, just like everybody else, they can, if the guys behind him made that same choice, went on down pit road a little bit later, topped it off, going to go a little bit further. One lap under pace, it's not a whole lot, but it's something. I can recall a couple races ago during the FFL Showdown, the guy actually ran out of gas coming across the start stripe. So that could be what helps them. If the least amount of fuel that you have to take, it's going to keep the car lighter, the more speed you're going to have. But J-Mac also talking about these guys getting lined up. To quote Frozen, and we were going to kind of talk about her a little bit, she'd be like, man, these are a bunch of wiggle wagons, like some white windshield wipers going, as these guys are all over the place coming through the corners and down this front stretch. Nobody really holding a steady line. You can almost tell the difference between the guys that are on the wheels and the guys that are having to tab constantly on a controller.
Yeah, and just a quick note before I get to that, the 41 running up front, running in the second position, he actually had to pit from that group. So move him back. He's going to be a lap down as he is coming off of pit road just now. So a change up front. ENEA has lost another driver up in that front group, so that's more points down the drain for that team. But like you said, all these drivers trying to stay together. These two packs, as Frozen would say, you could cover each of them with a blanket. Just trying to work together right now. Not really any aggression, but I really think if you're in that front pack and if you're confident with fuel, if you're one of those ENEA drivers, you need numbers up there. You need numbers up there. So maybe this would be an opportunity to start getting aggressive. But as we say that, it's 4v2 right now. The NNR has the advantage over them in that front pack. So they're in a box right now as the 48 might have gotten a little lag from the 17 or so as he went to underneath the yellow line. But just not a great position to be in as stage 3. Coming up to that middle point where these drivers are going to pit, it looks like they're signaling now.
You called it right on the money. J-Mac on the spot, we'll say. How's that? But yeah, Leaves Justin out there saying, go J-Mac. Good to see you, Leaves. Thanks for checking in, sir. I want to thank just about all 30 of y'all that have been here. The highest we've been, I think, tonight so far, about 32. And these guys have definitely put on a race worthy of your time to come on out and catch it. Again, if you don't already, please make sure you smash that follow and subscribe button if you can. A little bit of contact coming to the start stripe, a little bit of aggressiveness. We'll have to see how that plays out. Maybe somebody got forced in a little bit too fast. Black flag might fly for at least one or two good drivers.
Yeah, the 48 looked like behind that pack was got into the, maybe locked them up, got a little loose, had to get it and kind of drove into the pack a little bit, but might have gotten some help, not really sure, but it looks like all these drivers are going to get out in due time, so no penalties. It looks like everyone good and clean, and they're going to stay green, but the 17 of ENEA, not a knockout, not in a very good spot here. The 22 also lost a bunch of positions. Your front 4 are NNR drivers, so once again, this everything coming up, no name racing, as this race is winding down. They hold your top 4 after this cycle ends. Oh, the 17 got the pothole.
17's had a hard luck coming following that yellow line tonight. It's the second time that he's hit that bump and kind of up the balance of it. But let's see. Right now, it's showing the 78 car in the lead. 78 car is actually on pit road, so he chose to pit one lap later. 48, 42, and other company. That's going to be your leaders as they're going to come flying on by the exit of pit road. Keeping an eye on those guys down on the apron. That's where they need to stay in order not to have to serve a pass-through penalty. Put the 48 of the Aviator back up to P1.
Yeah, and I'd just like to mention how tough that is to exit pit road. That was the rule we had in place for our shake and bake season opener, was using that pit road, and it's really tough. As you mentioned earlier in the broadcast, there's no banking down there like there is at Talladega. There's nothing to help you make it to the corner, so it's just super tight. The car has no front grip at all, and if you get sucked into the racetrack onto that banking, it just grabs you, and there's no way to get back down. You're just up there, and you have to slow it down to basically a crawl to get it to angle back down onto the apron. At that point, you've already gotten yourself a penalty. So a really, really strong job by these drivers to we've seen so few issues. Really, really proud of all these guys to pull that off, because that is not an easy ask of these guys who are used to merging immediately out of pit road and kind of forcing everyone else to use those upper two lanes to get around them.
Well, I tell you what, every single one of these drivers, the 14 of Amore Smoke, the 5-car of Parsable, 42 is CGMX Rose, and the 48 of the Aviator. All these guys racing with some kind of a wheel, whether it's a Fanatec, a Thrustmaster, or a G920. They all have put in the time, they've put in the effort, they put in the money to make sure that when they're racing here in FFL, or as you see the 5-car to hit that bump down low again, or whether it's during the NNR races, which start back up here, by the way, on the 22nd of September. So just a few more days for the trucks, 23rd for Xfinity, and the 23rd for Xfinity, and the 24th for Cup. Definitely make sure to come on out. These are 4 of your stars that will be in that Cup Series leading this race. Definitely showing why they're the best, and NNR is some of the best in preset. Or JMac is me and HD proudly say pretty much the best in presets on Heat 4 and Heat 5. And restrictor plate or not, they came out to race tonight.
They absolutely did. These 4 are pulling away, and you can see it, them starting to kind of realize that this group of 4 has it in the bag, as we see Amore Smoke. He's pulling to the outside, pulling a little side draft on Parzival. He's trying to make his way to the front of this pack. He's having a little fun right now, trying to make this pass. So they're going to get a little racy. I think this group of 4, I think they're going to try to finish 2 by 2. I don't think they're going to be content to just ride and push the Aviator out to this win. But and call out the Aviator, like we said, he looked like he got onto pit road pretty hot. He got on there perfectly, was able to cycle out to the lead and take this lead, take over control of this race, as NNR pulling away, and the ENEA's hopes and dreams for moving on. They still have the opportunity in the wild card, but it just got a lot harder, and it looks like it's going to keep getting more difficult.
Yeah, I just want to follow that up as well. Looking at this second pack here that's already come in, it looks like a bunch of them are being led by Team NNR right now. So, yeah, they're looking pretty good right now, but a yellow would definitely change everything. And right now, there's just 6 laps to go in the stage. But remember, when we in the race, I believe, I'm not sure if it's either 6 or 7, but 5 laps to go. Remember, cautions are off here, so keep that in mind.
Yep, absolutely. That's something that we didn't have to really touch in stage 1 or stage 2, but stage 3, that could mean a world of difference if no cautions come out, as we're keeping an eye on this backpack right now, riding along with the 24 of Coe. Once they come across that line with 5 to go, no more cautions, no more nothing. That's it. Obviously, we're well past the 75% mark, so this race is official irregardless of what may happen with the server. But guys and gals out there in chat, I just put a message up with a PayPal link. A lot of y'all are familiar if you've watched past streams for More Than a Cape. Morethancape.org is it's a website to help gain assistance for pediatric cancer research, headed up by More Than a Cape. That's part of Shake and Bake Racing. If you want, go on into PayPal. $5 gets you 1 ticket. $10 gets you 3 tickets for a raffle of the Chase Elliott All-Star Race Win diecast, the same one that you saw him light Bristol Motor Speedway up with. And yes, the diecast itself lights up with an LED. So if you would, go ahead and slam on that link. Go on over, purchase your raffle tickets. It all goes to show support for pediatric cancer research. Go to morethancape.org. You'll find out more and more what that's about. Cape, I know you're out there. Thank you very much for all you do and all you have done. We're all still racing here, buddy.
Yeah, an interesting moment for this lead pack here. That's actually the 51 of NNR SWATs that they lapped. So a friendly car out there. The 48 got right to his bumper. The 51 took a hard right to that outside line. Let them go by. Let them maximize their speed. So once again, everything coming up. The 51, he looks content to just hang off of this pack. I don't think he's gonna do anything to manipulate this race amongst these four up in front of him, even though they're all on the same team. I expect them to have some fun here, even though they're coming up on the 2 car to lap him. The laps are almost wound down.
Yeah, this time across the line, I think we're going to see, as Marty would say, the popsicle sticks, I believe. Right, Marty? Popsicle sticks right in the air. And,
the 42 used it. He used the 2. The 48 went to pull him around, and the 42 snookered him. The 48 thought he was just going to push him, and CGM Rose was like, "No, sir. The 2, he's a lap down, but he's being aggressive, trying to get up amongst them, but moves CGM Rose to the lead in the 48 of the Aviator after dominating a lot of this second half of the third stage. He's back and forth now."
Yeah, back and forth. 48, very, very strong. He is a part-time, two-time champ for NNR. A little bit of contact there between the 51 and the 2, but the 2 is definitely trying to mix it up amongst these leaders. I tell you what, J-Mac and Marty, this front 4, they have done everything that they needed to do to get up to the front, really try to put the moves on. 5 of Parsable, 42 of CGMX Rose. It would be a total disaster if these guys got racing too hard and got to wrecking each other. They don't want to do that. They
let them have fun.
of winning, but at the same time, it's max points to the team. 42 at the line.
Oh, they're still going.
Yep. Yeah, they got 1 lap left, I believe. Yep. Yeah, this is the final lap.
More early on his move. They're trying to figure out something, but Rose has pretty much played this stage to a T. Amore tried to draw him high and then do the crossover. The 42 having nothing of it. Now he has everyone in line behind him, pushing him. It's going to be the 14 and the 42, Smoke versus Rose. As they come down to the line, the 48 on the bumper of Rose. The 48 pushes the 42, even though the 42 had abandoned him earlier.
Yep, looks like the 51 of SWATs is going to pull up to the high side. They're going to be side by side at the line. 42, I think, got that one as well, but Amore Smoke was giving him everything he possibly could. So put the top 4 NNR. I believe the 51 of SWATs was a lap down. So great, very, very strong finish of at least the top 4 for NNR. We'll have to see how they stand. You saw Parzival in P5, Conman P6, Annihilator, God Power, NNR Rowdy, ENEA Knockout, and NNR Coey round out your top 10. But Amore Smoke factually came across that start stripe just to the inside of the 14 of Amore Smoke. CGMX Rose getting it done.
Margin of victory, 2/100ths of a second. Great finish there, and it's looking pretty good for No Name Racing to advance to the quarters. We will confirm everything with Slide Job when he gets in here after we talk with the top three from each side.
Yeah, you don't want to get presumptuous, but we didn't see anything that would be deserving of any sort of penalty. And the way NNR finished that third stage, it's basically a formality at this point to name them the team moving on into the short track round. An excellent performance by both teams. ENEA just coming up on the short end of the stick there in the second stage, and that kind of put them behind the 8 ball for the third.
Absolutely. So if that does actually work out the way we kind of think it does, barring any penalties, NNR will move on to the short track round, which we'll announce here hopefully within the next few days. And ENEA will be part of that wild card race. They'll have to go on and choose 5 of their best to go on and race the likes of IVRL and SXRL and every other team that's going to be part of that race at Michigan International Speedway, and I'm sure that date will be coming as soon as possible. All right. We're going to bring you back to our rosters one more time, kind of introduce you to, again, who you were just out there keeping an eye on. But again, hell of a race between ENEA and NNR. Phenomenal driving by all, but in the end, the top 4 of Parzival, Amor Smoke, the Aviator, NNR SWATs, I believe, was just a lap down, and one other right there really pushing and shoving to get it done. And they didn't want to race. They didn't want to finish that nose to tail, J-Mac. They wanted the pride of actually going ahead and winning that race.
Yeah, that's what we were discussing there. Is the laps were closing down, and you could see the 14 of Amor Smoke leading onto that outside of the 5 of Parzival, and you kind of figured that they were going to get racy. They were going to try to have a little fun there at the end amongst teammates, try to take home that victory, and it all started when they lapped that 2 car. The 48 stuck out there just a little too long. The 42 took advantage, and from there the race was on, and it provided one heck of a finish.
Absolutely. Rock NASCAR, thank you very much for coming out and hanging out. Absolutely appreciate it, sir. Make sure that everything gets well put to use. In fact, I was just talking about that with you last night. And also, everybody, welcome Rock NASCAR, one of the newest streamers here on Heat 5. Make sure you look him up on Twitch. Give him a follow. Probably runs one of the best community pages that we've got going. It's a small number of people in that group, only about 250, give or take. But it's a mostly toxic-free community. All it's really about trying to raise everyone up and the camaraderie that we all share here on Heat 5. So thank you, Rock, for all you do.
Quick disclaimer, by the way, Rock is also the guy you see in the My Pillow commercials. Fun fact of the day. I like to mess around with him on that. Rock and I are cool dudes.
All right, so let's go ahead and check who's been able
got
to work
everybody
their way
ready for
into the
interviews.
booth so far.
We got everybody ready to go.
All right, I don't see a more in here yet, or a couple others. So,
I'm in here. Yeah,
oh, there you. Okay,
we got.
wow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we got
this
everybody.
party got huge. Okay, cool.
I think Aviator finished third on our side. Right?
All right.
Was it Aviator?
So we'll start with I'm sorry. What is it? Slide job P3 on NNR.
P3. Yeah, let's do P3 of ENEA. So let's start with I believe we have ENEA knockout.
All right, Marty, you want to take knockout?
Yeah. Knockout, I'll start off with you, my man. Take us through the entire race, not just on your end, but also the team strategy coming in. I'm guessing the game plan was to work with each other the entire race.
Yeah, that was the plan.
I think we still have Knockout. I don't know if he just lagged for a moment or not.
Yeah, I think he might be resetting his mic. I see his icon coming in and out. Yep, he's resetting.
Yep.
Hey,
All right,
can you hear me
Knockout,
now?
you got us again?
Yep, I got you, buddy. Thank you.
Sweet. Yeah, it was.
Nope, and he's out again.
And he just backed out.
Hate word.
You want to
All
take
right,
the second place guy for now while
Yeah,
Knockout
why don't
fixes
you
his mic?
why don't you take Annihilator?
All right, Annihilator, we'll go to you. Pretty much same question to you. Take us through. I'm almost done. Take us through the entire team's day and also your race from your perspective.
Honestly, didn't really go the way we planned. We tried getting a run going on the outside line, but that seemed to get broken up. But going through the stages, first stage seemed like NNR was doing a pretty good job of sticking together. We had maybe 4 of our ENEA guys up in the top 10, and we were trying to make up a little bit of ground. Come in with maybe 3 to go before we had a pit, and it seemed like we were both on a different strategy, which helped because kind of spread out the field a little bit going into pit road. One of our guys did get a pit road speeding penalty, which split us up a little bit more. And then everyone saw how a few of our drivers slid up on the track and had to serve some pass-throughs in the first stage. So that was something that we as ENEA had to overcome. And then going into the second stage, kind of the same thing. Come pit road time, nobody sped, but we had 2 of our drivers slide up on the track, unfortunately. Just taking those 2 tires, it really made staying on the apron at a $140 kind of tough. So when those 2 guys slid off the apron up onto the track, they had to serve their pass through. That took another 2 of our guys out of the top 10, and I mean, it was just kind of hard to make up points after that. But all in all, I'm kind of proud of these ENE guys. We worked pretty hard, stayed competitive till the end. But all in all, just it'll be interesting to see how the points play out.
Yeah, you guys really should be proud of yourselves, no matter what the result gained it this far. Congratulations on not just how you guys have done in the race, but also great run throughout the entire tournament.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate that.
All right, that's Annihilator.
Is
back to you,
the
PM.
top driver and owner of ENEA. How about ENEA Conman?
J-Mac, you want to take comment? Looks like J-Mac might have stepped away for a little bit. It's been a little bit of a long race here.
Oh no! Hey, I'm here. I was muted.
All
Sorry.
right, go ahead.
But anyways, a tough race, well fought race there. First stage seemed to go almost like maybe not to plan, but it went well, kept it even, and then second stage, the wheels kind of fell off a little bit and put y'all behind the 8 ball for that third stage. Talk about your race and what the plan was for that third stage to try to make up some points and how it worked out for you.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, tonight, nobody really knew how it was going to go. There really wasn't much planning involved other than we want to work with our teammates, obviously stay on the same pit strategy and whatnot too. We had a decent stage 1, kind of like Annihilator said, had to overcome some penalties and whatnot, and stage 2. And then stage 3 was kind of just, go after it at that point, right? NNR's got some great drivers. We were doing everything we could to keep up with them, while also entering and exiting pit road altogether. So, I don't know, mentally drained after that one. A lot of stuff going on during the race. It was tough to overcome, but, you got to make with what you have. So,
And a mentally draining night, but still a well fought out race. And congrats to you guys and your team for sticking in there and making it a fun race for us to watch. We definitely enjoyed watching y'all run and congratulations on making it this far in the tourney, and we'll see you in the wild card, I guess, where y'all can put on a show.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate you guys.
All right, next up is going to be P3 for NNR Parsival. Or not, sorry, not Parsival. Whoops, I scrolled down too far. Aviator.
Aviator, it's repeat. You got me, buddy.
I do.
Aviator, you sent me a message just before the race started saying, I'm making my comeback. and you said, go ahead and run with that. Well, you know what? It looks like you ran with it. You really put that 48 up front when it was really going to matter. You were trying to hold up the 14 and the 5 and other company until the very, very last, where it looked like a car came up, they used it as a pick, and took the lead from you. And then y'all started to race it out amongst each other, which was very, very cool instead of just sticking nose to tail. Walk us through your race, your progression through, and then if there's anything that you think you could have done any different.
Well, yeah, I mean, overall, I thought I had a good race. Stage 1, I figured if I didn't qualify on the pole, I'd probably go back to save fuel because we were going to need to anyway. So we ended up doing that. We did a lot of that together and stayed together through a lot of the first stage, entering the pits. And then we had a problem exiting pits, so we weren't all together. And that kind of screwed like half of us. But we were able to fix that mistake for stage 2, where we did the same thing and made sure we were all together. Hence why we pretty much dominated the second stage. And then going into the final one, I knew I wanted to be up front. So I made sure to start up there and keep it up in the top positions at least. And then with all the different strategies and stuff like that going down, I just knew I needed to follow the top 2 guys. And with that, I was able to have some position coming out of pit road. And for some reason, I was super far behind Lewis or Rose coming out of pit road. So I was able to use that, get his draft, and pass him for the lead going down the backstretch. And I guess that didn't hold up, but yeah, that lap car definitely. I was trying to be respectful and keep everyone together and stay on the high line so that everyone behind me would be able to get a position. But Rose took that and used it as his advantage and took the lead from me. And I was like, okay, whatever. But yeah, that didn't help. But otherwise, I don't think there's much else I could have done. I didn't want to be that guy.
I'm glad your wheel held together for the race. I know that was a little bit of a worry for you. Congrats on your great finish tonight, sir.
Thank you, man.
Yep. J-Mac, you want P2?
Yes, sir. We've got a more smoke. Well fought. Coming home barely in second place, almost with the win. First stage looked like y'all had what y'all wanted to do, and it kind of went crazy. But then from that point on, y'all pretty much nailed the strategy. And then there at the end, you were the first one of those front 4 to start getting a little racy. Just talk about that battle toward the end with your 3 teammates.
Yeah, we felt like we had enough points at the time, and we had a really big lead. We took 2 tires, and I got like a 12-second stop on 2 tires, and they got a 9-second stop. So I started back there, and I really wanted to win. I think we all really wanted to win. So once it got a little racy, I kept trying to get to like the quarter panel just to pull somebody back. Maybe, I don't know. I kept trying, and then finally it got racy and almost had it there at the end, but. It was a really good finish for the broadcast and people watching. Hopefully, they got a little bit of entertainment from that.
We absolutely did. Talk about the stress. Con Man alluded to earlier, kind of the mental draining factor of having to work the strategy, of having to work with your teammates. Are you feeling the same thing at all? Was it a tough night to kind of stay with your team and stay on the same page while you were doing it?
It wasn't really too stressful because we knew we had backup for the wild card just in case. So I mean, we were really calm with the comms, and we were communicating very well throughout the whole race. When to pit, how many laps we got on fuel, what's your left tires. I mean, just really calm on the comms and everything all night. So it's really good job from our whole crew.
That was a more smoke. Finished second. Just needed a little bit longer of a bumper, and he might have won this race.
Yep.
Congrats on the well-fought race. And back to you, Pete.
Yep. Appreciate that.
Marty, why don't you go ahead and take the honors of talking to the one and only CGMX Rose, hashtag Grow with Rose, as it was during Pro League Season 2, where you got a ride with Chip Ganassi Racing. Marty, go ahead and grab him.
Thank you very much, Rose. Congratulations on a big win. 2/100ths of a second over your teammate. But outside of that, I'm guessing the game plan was to work together, was to work with your team all all throughout the day, and stages 2 and 3, you proved it worked.
Yeah. So our goal into this race was just to work together, and I got onto the wall there early, a couple laps into the race, and I lost the pack. So that whole first stage, I just wanted to not go a lap down, and then the second stage, we just lined up and went with our game plan, and luckily it worked out. In stage 3, we went ahead and did the same thing, and then that caution came out and kind of changed things a little bit. We just went to racing, and then we were able to line up again, and I came out with a big lead on that pit stop, and I was able to use the lap car as a pick and then get by Aviator, and I just had to hold off the guys trying to make runs behind me, which I did.
Hey, congratulations on a great win, a great run for NNR, and we're looking forward to hearing what these team points look like here as we send it back over to Anthony, or Mr. Slide Job, I'm sorry.
No problemo. So we saw a very close stage 1. We saw NNR pull a little bit of a lead in stage 2. If you're keeping track at home, stage 3, ENEA is going to come home with 234 points. NNR 300. So got your calculator out. ENEA is going to come home with 266 points to NNR's 378. So after the last 2 stages, NNR really pulls to a dominating lead. So they will unofficially move on to the round of 8. So we are back here with NNR Koei. So your guys are unofficially moving on to the round of 8. Not a big upset today. You guys coming in. A lot of people were picking you guys to win based on reputation and performance in the first couple of rounds. Tell us, how proud are you of your guys, and if the result stands, what are you doing to prepare for the round of 8?
Yeah, congratulations to all my guys. I mean, we practiced a lot, and they put on a good show. Luckily, we didn't have anyone seem to lag out this time. I think that's the first round, and of all tracks, Talladega. So that was a great thing there, not to lose any points that way. But we had a good strategy, trying to save on tires and fuel. And then the last stage, I think we tried to pit like a lap early, and definitely kind of helped us to get up there in the front. But they did a great job, and the racing was great. And hats off to the other team for putting on a good show with us. And it was a great race.
Absolutely. It was definitely an awesome race to watch. And now we are back with ENEA Conman, owner of ENEA. So, Mr. Conman, unfortunately, if the results stand, you guys will not be getting automatically locked in to the round of 8. You guys will be headed to Michigan for the wildcard race. So, good news is you're not going home tonight, but, we'll have to defend that spot on a little bit bigger stage. So, tell us how proud you are of your guys as far as your performance tonight, and how you will prepare for Michigan.
Yeah. First off, always proud of my guys. We did everything we could today. Again, kind of what I said earlier, just making the most of what we had today. As far as Michigan goes, obviously it's a great thing that we're still involved and still have a chance here. I know my guys will put in a lot of practice and be well prepared for that race. Be fun.
Absolutely. And another question that sure is a lot of fans' minds tonight is, a little known fact by a lot of people in the community that ENEA was actually at one point the ARCA series of NNR. So what was it like, growing and then coming back to take on one of your old affiliated leagues and see what you guys got?
Yeah, it was awesome to have that circle around. Obviously, tons and tons of respect for NNR, what they do and their reputation. Kind of ever since we split off from that, we've wanted to grow ourselves. So we just wanted to see how we stacked up against what we already knew they were. But yeah, again, hats off to those guys. We know how good they are. Koei, congrats to you guys. Hopefully we'll get to race one another again one of these days.
Yep, thank you.
Absolutely.
Good racing with you.
And I'm sure It is good to know that you guys stacked up very well against one of the powerhouse teams out there. So you definitely have a ton to be proud of, especially developing on your own. And my last question for you tonight, we asked all the other teams going to the wild card round, give us a preview of maybe, who that 5-man roster might look like going into Michigan.
Obviously, we'll have the one and only shotgun there. Obviously, myself, I'll probably be there as well, knockout. And then the others to be determined. We got a lot of good drivers. We'll make sure we do our due diligence of selecting the right ones. So, gotta put on a performance there, and we'll make sure we're prepared.
All right. Well, stay tuned for that, folks. You'll see these guys back in action, assuming everything stays where it is at Michigan. So that wraps up round 3. We will be not, going too far away because actually later this week, in the next day or two, we will have the wild card race. We are not waiting around. You will see 25 drivers, 5 hopeful teams try to make it into that last spot in the, or second to last spot if you don't count the fan vote, the last race-in spot for the round of 8 to take on the bye team, Shake and Bake, from round 2. And then we will be having the fan vote, and we'll release those details coming up soon for that last spot. But please stay tuned for details. Watch the NASCAR Heat pages for information on that wild card race coming up at MIS. And I'm going to send it back up to the booth for their final thoughts.
All right, thank you very much. Definitely appreciate it, Slide Job. Well, J-Mac and Marty, man, we saw another great race to wrap up the restrictor plate round here at Daytona, featuring NNR and ENEA. Both teams definitely put on one hell of a show. First round was like 29-26, so we all were talking about what was going to be a very, very close race, and it was completely. I'm definitely glad that both of y'all were here for the ride. Frozen, if you're out there, if you kind of caught any part of this, maybe watching a little bit on your phone every now and then while you're out, celebrating with your family. Well, we're definitely missing you, thinking of you. But J-Mac and Marty, one hell of a race, fellas.
Absolutely, that was a blast to watch, and glad we got to have a little photo finish there at the end. I kind of figured that was what was going to happen, knowing how competitive some of those guys are, and that was a fun finish to see, and to watch ENEA out there for the first time. I've raced with a bunch of NNR guys, and I've watched some NNR, but I've never gotten to really see ENEA, so that was a pleasure to see them race and run, and enjoyed covering them.
Yeah, I did too. That was a good stage 1, but yeah, NNR just completely kicked butt. They turned up the afterburners in stages 2 and 3 and got it done. And Slide Job, I think you said that NNR got 378.
I believe so. Yeah, unofficially.
So that would be. So looking at the scores, so that'd be 2 higher than what eSpark got in the short track. So unofficially for right now, we'll get it confirmed in the Discord. But this would put No Name Racing at number 1 in the rankings for right now. But we'll just have to see. But congratulations to No Name Racing. Congratulations to ENEA on what they done in the tournament. I'm looking forward to this wild card in a few days.
Absolutely. It's going to be interesting to see the rosters as they come to fruition for that race at Michigan. Then, of course, the fan vote. And then, of course, Slide Job will have that wrap-up here, which we'll see here very, very soon. Only 5 races this time, Slide Job, so it shouldn't be another 3 hours, right, Slide Job? Right, Slide?
It'll actually be 6 because we will be covering the wild card, of course. But,
right.
Yeah, it'll be, we promise it'll be a little shorter. And, yeah, as a preview, we announced it earlier in one of the broadcasts, the round of 4, not round of 4, but round 4 will be the short track round. And yes, we have handpicked the tracks just based on fans and, showing a good race and the fact that we are in Cup cars. What better track than to go to Bristol, Martinsville, Richmond, and Iowa? So, four fantastic tracks, four highly competitive, 3 Cup, 1 not Cup, but we've seen in past experience excellent races happen there. So you will see these 4 tracks in the next round. Will be fantastic. Who will get those? We'll find out.
You got it. Well, one more time for me, thank you all very, very much for hanging out, chatting it up, and keeping us busy. Definitely want to thank you all. Again, there's that link right there for if you want to try to win that Chase Elliott Light Up Bristol Win diecast that is being offered up by More Than a Cape. Until we either catch you at Michigan rather, or for the recap, I will catch you guys either around the track, on a stream, or wherever. Stay safe, stay healthy, wear your mask, do what you got to do. Y'all have a great night. Congratulations one more time, No Name Racing.